After a slight delay, we get underway with our sixth and final senior Rotax heat, the penultimate heat of today. Let's take you through the starting grid for senior Rotax. Heat 6, Groups B versus C. It's going to be an all-KR Sport front row with Sean Butcher, joined by teammate Lachlan Robinson on the front row. It's an all-Dutch row number 2, courtesy of Dion van Werven and Tommy van der Stroys. Ethan Jeff Hall and Austin Lee round out row number 3, ahead of Matthew Higgins and Jaden Teen. Then it's going to be Nolan Lemohay and Lewis Gilbert rounding out the top 10. Ian Richard and Tobias Clausen on row 6. Mitch Haynett and Paul Christel, row 7. Row 8, it's going to be Magic Hamada and Janis Stiak. Row 9, Zombor Kovac and Loris Koisman. Jules Roussel and Baptiste Schneider round out the top 20 with Jonathan Devaux, William Christensen, Gustav Zulsakovs, Scott Westhovens, Kamal Murad and Sverre Ubben rounding out the 26-strong grid. So the driver's now getting into formation at Dunlop, at the top right-hand corner of the circuit. The field will now make its way down towards the turn 12 right-hand sweeper. And then we'll be under starter's orders. Red lights on the starting gantry. Revs rise. Are we ready? Are we steady? Lights are out first time. Butcher leads the field down into clubhouse for the first time, and Lachlan Robinson does lose a couple of positions due to being on the outside of the front row. He's only down as far as 5th, as it's nearly 3 abreast coming out of the turn 3 corner. That is the 348 Kamal Murad going wide out of turn number 3 as the field makes its way down into turn 5. And someone has gone off the road and sideways again. Well, that might have been Loris Koisman, possibly. But no, that was actually Janis Stiak in the 339 that was off the circuit. He was running 16th at that point until that drama happened. Sean Butcher has got a commanding lead after the opening lap of nearly 8.5 tenths of a second. Ethan Jeff Hall up into P2. Dion van Werven in 3rd place, ahead of Austin Lee. Lachlan Robinson in 5th position, make that 6 because that might have been, well, he's just been passed by somebody else's. And up the inside of Dion van Werven, that was Austin Lee through for 3rd position. It was Matthew Higgins that got through on Lachlan Robinson in the 326. Robinson now returns the favour through turn 7. Higgins and Van der Stroys are at each other's side walls. Lewis Gilbert getting stuck in, so is Jaden Theen. There was a big bit of air with the right-hand side of the cart for Matthew Higgins going up in the air through Piff Path. He manages to keep a hold of it. Eight minutes and 10 seconds still remain in this final senior Rotax heat. So Jaden Theen makes his way up into 7th ahead of Matthew Higgins. The drivers once again go down the back stretch, but Sean Butcher's lead last time around was pretty much bang on a second. He might be trying to extend that, but that depends on how much pace Ethan Jeff Hall has in the Tony Kart chassis underneath him. As more positions changing a little bit further up the front. One of which might have been Zombor Kovac in the 3:41 as Lachlan Robinson now fires his way past Dion van Verven through Clubhouse into turn number 4 to take 4th position. But Butcher's lead hasn't really been extended, nor has it been decimated in any way, shape or form. It's sort of stagnated, so to speak. So Sean Butcher continues to lead the way, 1.2 seconds ahead of Ethan Jeff Hall. Austin Lee rounds out the top 3, but he's being closed in on by Lachlan Robinson. A little bit further back, Lewis Gilbert has got, that was more than likely, that was Nolan Emery up his inside, through into turn 3. And not only did Lemeray get through, also Tobias Clausen possibly did as well, along with Lilian Richard in the 384. And there goes, that's the 341, that's Zombor Kovac. It's now through on Gilbert. Getting towards the halfway point of this race, and Butcher still continues to lead proceedings. His lead now is stretched just under a second and a quarter. Lachlan Robinson, in the meantime, is trying to close in on Austin Lee. The pair were just over 2 tenths apart after that last lap. Top 10 rounded out by the number 390 of Tobias Clausen. They were covered by just over 5 seconds in that last lap. As we're halfway through the race, still more to come. Jules Roussel has made his way past Lewis Gilbert in the 329 for position, and the Scotsman now has, this will be Mitch Haynett not too far behind. And in the TB Netherlands kart. So drivers filtering their way through into turn number 3. Sean Butcher just commanding proceedings. In the meantime, Ethan Jeff Hall has scarpered away into the distance from Austin Lee and Lachlan Robinson, with Dion van Verven and Tommy van der Stroys running out the top 6. It's a little bit of a gap between the 311 to the 380 of Jaden Teen. He's got behind him the 375 of Matthew Higgins, a man from Trafalgar in Wales. He's also been doing a lot of racing in USF4 this year. Higgins, not too far behind him, has got Nolan Lemeray for company. Tobias Clausen in the 390 still rounds out the top 10 positions. Janis Stiak has got the fastest lap of the race with a 52.094. We're on lap number 8 with 3 minutes and 20 plus a lap still to go. As Higgins trying to do his utmost to try and retake that 8th position back from Nolan Lemeray as Jaden Teen gets a little bit further ahead, but then Tobias Clausen says otherwise, and the 375 finds himself down another position. That's going to make it 10th place for Higgins. Robinson still keeping within 2 tenths of a second of Austin Lee. That's the battle for 3rd place on the road. Boris Koisman, unfortunately, on lap number 7, has pulled the cart into the pits. And the 920 representing Belgium. The race day hasn't ended on the best note possible. So Lilian Richard is one step away from getting into the top 10. But will have to deal with Matthew Higgins to get through. I'm not too sure if he might have just done that. That is the case because Richard now hits the top 10. Higgins now demoted to 11th position. Janis Diak has gotten past Magic Chimera for 18th place as Sean Butcher continues to hold lead at around about the 1.1, 1.2 mark. Ahead of Ethan Jeff Hall, who's just put in the fastest lap of the race, 52.091 for the 397. As a little bit further back, drama's there for Matthew Higgins. Zombor Kovac has gone through. So has Jules Roussel and Lewis Gilbert. Not only that, Mitch Haynett has as well. And Higgins is just trying to drive to survive, so to speak. There's now Roussel, Haynett. They're battling away. Going through into turn 3. There's going to be a little bit of a look up the inside. There was a touch. Clausen runs wide, bumps up and down on the grass on the right-hand side of the circuit and loses out 3 positions. So loses out to Jaden Teen. Well, looks to have lost out to Jaden Teen. Along with Nolan Lemeray and more than likely Lilian Richard. But the race is fast ticking away. 20 seconds on the timer, so we're on to our 12th and penultimate lap. Sean Butcher's lead has now been dropped to just under 9.5 tenths, courtesy of the efforts of one Ethan Jeff Hall. Janis Diak is the only driver in this race to drop below 52 seconds with a 51.995. That was not the last lap of the lap just gone, but the lap previously on lap 11. The timer has expired. There'll be one more lap to go. As the drivers still making their way into the inner technical part of the circuit, up towards Dunlop for what's going to be the penultimate time. So Sean Butcher won heat number 4 for the seniors, on course to win in heat 6 and take 2 to his tally here today. Lachlan Robinson, in the meantime, has gotten on with business and he's finally got past Austin Lee for that 3rd place. Dion van Verven now joining the party. They do say that 2's company, but 3 is definitely a crowd. Van Verven looks to get the undercut on Austin Lee. He's going to pull in behind the 379 down the back straightaway. Austin Lee defends on the racing line through turn 5 and through into 6. And whilst that's all happening, Robinson's pulled away, but Van der Stroys is there waiting in the wings, and he dives up the inside of Dion van Verven. Does Tommy Van der Stroys in the 3-1-1 to now take what is effectively 5th position. But it's Sean Butcher that wins his 2nd heat in as many races. Ethan Jeff Hall with his best finish of the day in 2nd position. Lachlan Robinson rounds out his day with the top 3. Austin Lee in 4th, with Tommy Van der Stroys taking 5th ahead of Dion van Verven, making sure that the move was completed through turn 8 on the final lap of the race. 7th is Lilian Richard, Nolan Lemeray, Jaden Teen and Zombor Kovac round out the top 10. There has been a time penalty given to Tobias Clausen, who will drop down the order and drops down to 20th place. Behind the likes of Lewis Gilbert, Jules Roussel, Mitch Haynett, Matthew Higgins, Paul Cruisel, Janis Diak, Gustav Zusakovs, Sverre Ubben and William Christensen. Magic Chimera takes 21st in that race. Ahead of Jonathan DeVore, Scott Westhovens, Kamal Murad, Baptiste Schneider and Loris Koisman retiring on lap 6.